is Morey Stettner, the editor of Executive Leadership, and I'm here today with Patrick Walsh, the CEO of AirSign, which is a company based in Williston, Florida, and he founded the company in 2008. Patrick, thanks for your time today.
Yeah, Morey, it's a real pleasure to be on the call and appreciate the interview.
So AirSign is an unusual company. Why don't you just tell us in a summary form what it does?
Yeah, we are an aerial advertising company. So what that means is we specialize in airships, skywriting, digital skywriting, where we use 5 aircraft typing out multiple messages throughout the sky. We specialize in campaigns that produce large airplane, digitally printed airplane banners and gigantic helicopter banners the size of a football field, literally moving through the sky. And what we do that's very unique is not only do we produce and manage these campaigns and actually fulfill them, but we specialize in becoming a aerial marketing arm for our clients, where we take the time to really understand their goals and objectives, what they're trying to accomplish with their campaigns, and then we use our market intelligence and our industry experience to produce, show-stopping campaigns that completely exceed their expectations. For example, last month we were at South by Southwest for a particular client. They wanted to do a skywriting message over South by Southwest in Austin and really grab attention. It was a one flight, lasted 90 minutes. Well, just in that 90 minutes alone, of course there was lots of research planning that went into it ahead of time, but when we combined our aerial team with our social media team, we were the #2 top trending hashtag on Twitter for the whole country that evening and part of the next day. So it's aerial advertising is very effective when it's done right and applied with the right message, and our clients have had phenomenal results.
So do people come to you because they know that skywriting is this unique way to get their message across, or do you have to sell the concept to a lot of your clients?
Our biggest thing is definitely educating prospective clients about the possibilities of it. Aerial advertising in the past, it was more of a thing that people would hire an airplane banner to advertise the drink special this Wednesday, or this Friday night at their bar. Well, now it's shifted to where we've educated the corporate world that it's a viable advertising means, and we have clients like Google, HP, and these large corporate clients that are coming on board and recognizing its potential and how high an ROI that it has, because in today's advertising world, advertisers are looking for creative ways to grab people's attention and create a lasting memory. And unfortunately, there's so many ad blocking softwares or consumers are inundated with advertising. Well, this is completely different. It's up above all the competition, all the clutter and congestion. It's in the sky, the largest platform to advertise on, and clients or prospective viewers view it as almost like their own private air show while the advertiser is showcasing their brand. So it's a positive thing. It's very exciting for everyone involved, and it has phenomenal results because of that.
So you founded the company in 2008. You became its CEO in June of 2010. Before 2008, you had a background in advertising and aviation. And you have roughly 180 employees and contractors and such that you work with. I would think with all that, there's a lot of moving parts and complexity. How do you lead amid such, what would seem to me, chaos?
Thank you. So the most important thing for me is, of course, our clients when they come through, and I want to make sure that at each and every aspect of that process, whether it's from the sales and marketing standpoint to the operations standpoint, when their flights are actually taking place, to the post-flight, that they have the highest level of customer service each and every time in each and every market across the United States. So it is very complex. But first and foremost, I have a dynamic team that putting the right people on the bus, putting the right people in the different positions. And, early on, I tended to more micromanage, and I realized that my best success would be finding the right people, getting them on board, and then letting them do their job well. And that's what we've done. If their values and if their goals are aligned with mine and where the company's desiring to go, my biggest thing is letting go and trusting them to do their job well. Kind of like what we discussed earlier, what's made a really big difference for me and instilling in my team, you know, whether we apply it to our campaigns, whether we apply it to sales, whether we apply it to marketing, isn't by being the smartest or isn't by having the most expensive equipment or the most funded company, you know, or the most employees. No, it's by being the most diligent in what we do by applying massive action to each and every aspect of what we do. We're not content at being average. We're going to apply that massive action, whether it's by taking the time to really understand our clients' goals and objectives, learn their company, whether it's doing our due diligence and knowing everything we can about a market where a client wants to advertise, by going over all the details in a particular flight, by verifying weather, you know, so that there's nothing that could come up last minute and we're like, hey, we didn't check that. No, each and every person, what I try to instill and try to apply to my life is, you know, we don't have to be the smartest people out there. What we can do is take in the God-given intelligence and resources that we have to work with and then apply that massive action to it. And by, you know, striving to overachieve in each aspect, our clients have been more than thrilled, and we've been able to pull off some very successful campaigns so far.
When you adopt that attitude of applying massive action, whether it's verifying weather so that nothing can come up at the last minute or understanding the client's goals and objectives and the type of market where the client wants to advertise, how do you know when you're done applying that massive action? How can you gauge, oh, we're done, we're ready to plunge in?
That's really good. Early on, another serious element that I realized as we grew our company, you know, because we found, you know, not too long ago in 2008, was that what we needed to do to be able to scale this company was incorporate really good systems. One of my close mentors and friends is Michael E. Gerber, author of The E-Myth and many other books. Within that, he really teaches the need for building scalable systems, focusing on working on your company, working on the mission at hand instead of just caught up in it and trying to put out the fires of the day. So unlike, you know, a lot of our competition or many other advertising and marketing companies out there, we've designed systems and processes for each aspect of what we do. Because like you said, it is very complex. We have flights going on in multiple cities all at the same time, multiple different times. Pilots, these are, you know, not online programs. These are real aspects, physical things using aviation, which lots of complicated parts and stuff going on. And it's these systems that are applied to each and every aspect of what we do that we've developed. You know, the aerial advertising world is a very unique world. It's very small. It wasn't like we could take and say, hey, here's the blueprint on how you grow your aerial advertising business. We had to develop these systems, you know, from the marketing side to the sales side to the operations side, the client fulfillment side, that were scalable so that they would instill, as we grew our team, that the employees and the staff in each and every aspect would provide that same high-level customer service each and every time to our clients. And that's, you know, that's been something that's developed, but we have some really, really good systems in place now that protect the client for that.
Can you give an example of a scalable system, maybe in sales and marketing, something that's not too technical?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, just as a lead comes in, the way you handle the lead, the response time, some of it's even automated, you know, through our website and through our some of the systems that we've created, you know. So at this point, you know, they get the client will get a thank you email, you know, responding to the lead. Then once their flight is scheduled, the salesperson or the client account manager will get an automated notification that says, okay, at this step, you need to check this. You need to make sure that the flight order is being processed appropriately. You need to update the client on that the weather is good for their flight the day before. You need to verify that the banner has arrived on site. You know, so there's automated prompts that are all programmed into our system, you know, for our sales system, so that the salesperson, it doesn't take, you know, a super high-paying sales associate to have to come in who's an expert at this. We can take, you know, an average guy and train him up by working within his system and applying that massive action. He'll be able to do his job very well and consistently each and every time, and it protects him. The company knows, we know, as I manage my dashboards, I can see, yeah, these guys and our sales managers overseeing that this team is doing a really good job. They're they're checking off each of these steps as they go, which ensures that the client receives that same consistent high-level service. And it's our whole business is client-centered, so it's each and everything from sending, a thank you gift to the client after the flight. And we deal with a wide range of things, from somebody wanting to propose to their girlfriend on the beach with an airplane banner or a Skyrain message to AAA coming in for a multi-market massive contract. So, that's why it's really important that you have systems in place like this that can be applied to the right client and the right steps and procedures are followed. And we're able to do that, with operating in multiple different states like this, and multiple different campaigns going on all at the same time, with a relatively smaller crew than you would think for that size operation. We're able to do it because of these systems and because of those principles that we have in place.
It's interesting you brought up before Michael Gerber. I've actually interviewed him a few years ago. He's the author, for those who might not be familiar with the E-Myth and a series of other outgrowth books that all are related to the E-Myth. And he's big on, as you put it, instilling systems in the business. I'm curious about how you've been able, with over 100 employees and contractors who all, I'm sure, have technical skills, how you've been able to train them to abide by the systems that you've set in motion? Is it hard to train people or find the right people who can fit into the systems and who are aligned intellectually and philosophically with what you're trying to do?
Yeah, for our management positions, our director of operations or our sales managers, and stuff like that, those guys definitely a little bit harder to find. You have to find the right people to put on the bus. But as our sales personnel, our marketing guys, our operators, although these require various different skills, when we started early on and were able to develop these systems early while we were a fairly small company, and still in the big picture of it we are, but when we just had a handful of personnel working for us and we designed these systems and developed them so that they would be scalable, the systems come with, for a sales guy that could come in, the system comes with scripts for each step of the way. This is, as you're talking to this guy, at this stage, these are the important elements to go over. It's a step-by-step system, so it doesn't take a really talented person necessarily who's an expert in sales already or an expert in operations to come in. They follow the script, they follow the system step by step, and it takes ordinary people like me, myself, and you put them in there as long as they have the right work ethic and will abide by the principles and the goals of the company. An average person can excel far better with the right system than even someone with high experience and high skill level being put into a company that doesn't have those great systems in place.
I guess that's what you meant before by saying we're not the smartest or the most well-funded company. We're just people who are able to make these systems work.
Right, working within a really good system and then applying that massive action to what we do.
You mentioned before that early on you tended to micromanage. What changed you?
I did. So, early on we were focused on being a great aerial advertising company, but within the markets that we covered. Initially we started in Florida, then moved to Atlanta, then Long Island and New York City. And although we were good, I recognized as okay, at some point, as we grew to, 9 aircraft, then we had 11 aircraft and so on, at some point, if I was going to be able to manage this well, I had to let go, and I had to trust the good people that I have in place and let them do their job well. And that was a big step for me. I'm still a younger entrepreneur, and I don't have 20 years or 30 years of experience to bring to the table. So I had to learn some of this as I went. And I've learned, even by applying the right mentors and right people in my life have made a big difference. But that's where we really developed, when clients would start to come to us and say, hey, you guys are providing great service in the Atlanta market, but we want to be able to come in and say, hey, how can we do this in 10 markets? And it to be a simple process. I learned, hey, if we want to grow this company and if we want to scale it, that's where we're going to have to really build out the systems and put trust in the systems that we developed and in the key people that I placed over those areas. And and over it wasn't an overnight change, but between 2010 to 2012 is where we saw the biggest development in that area, and have seen some real growth and potential success, and real success since then.
So how old are you now?
I am 34.
So you founded the company when you were roughly 28?
28, yep. So I started in aviation. I had a love for aviation. I, started as a flight instructor, developed all my different ratings. Really loved the passion. I was able to see how, taking someone who had no experience in aviation, was dreamed of flying, bring them in, give them that first flight ride, then took prospective students, eventually got them to where they soloed for the first time, and was just able to see the almost romantic attraction that aviation pulled to the average person. And then as I grew in that, I started, I had some experience in marketing prior to that, and I started working with somebody, and I said, listen, there's a huge potential with if we combine aviation in the outdoor advertising world. Aerial advertising has been around, but if we combine this, in a powerful medium, I think, it can become a very powerful ROI for clients. And in the corporate world, because up until 10 years ago, you'd periodically have a few corporate clients that flirted with it, but they had inconsistent service, inconsistent pricing. It was very frustrating for them. So there wasn't a strong element of corporate advertising with aerial advertising.
So when you have a show-stopping campaign, a high-profile campaign like at the South by Southwest Festival, in the moment that that's happening, and you have a plane up in the sky, and it's probably the product of hours, if not weeks, of careful planning.
Absolutely.
Are you anxious? Are you nervous? Can you describe how you're feeling while this is happening?
Yeah. So my adrenaline is definitely pumped, and we're all hands on deck. Even with the South by Southwest one, it was such a high-profile campaign that I personally went down there to Austin and was there with the team. Just looking over everything and meeting with some of the clients, and stuff like that. And we had a large team there for that one campaign that was just an hour and a half flight that took place on the Thursday of South by Southwest. We had a team of over, I want to say 11 people, from the ground support to the pilots and everything to make that happen.
So during that hour and a half, what's it like? Do you feel, okay, I've washed my hands of it, I just hope it goes well? Can you just describe for us what it was like emotionally while it was happening?
No, going into it, I have complete confidence that I know it will go well because of the pre-planning and because of the amount of work and everything that our team put in. It's not like with weather that we're watching it the day of and saying, it could change. No, we watch weather for a living, and our guys pre-plan weeks and days. A week before, we're carefully analyzing the weather. 2 days before, we're looking at the hourly forecast. We're choosing the best time for the client and over the right times for the event. So at an event like that, it's not I'm panicking, hoping that this is going to happen. No, at that point is now we're watching back to see this stellar show-stopping campaign that's going to give unimaginable results to our client. And we did. We were the top number 2 trending hashtag on Twitter for the whole country. We ousted American Idol, Lady Gaga, and a bunch of other ones. And corporate advertisers dream of doing things like that.
What advice would you give a leader who has a similar kind of company where there are a lot of different variables, things that he or she may or may not control, a lot of moving parts? Any general advice?
Yes. So, there's a lot to that, of course, but a big thing that I've learned is, of course, trusting your team, putting the right team in place, and then trusting them. That's the first element. Not micromanaging, because that's going to cause your team to not be able to perform at the levels that they're capable of. So trusting your team, trusting your system that you have in place. If you don't have them, you have to make sure you have the right system in place and develop that appropriate to your line of business. And then in general, my form of leadership is more of a little bit of a humble leadership. There's time to step up and say, hey, we got to make it happen. We got to make it happen now. But at the same time, it's respecting the people that you have in place and the skills and experience that they bring to the table as well, and trusting them to do their job well. And if you have the right system and the right philosophy that they've adhered to in place, typically you'll see the right results like that. At least
Great. Well, Patrick Walsh, CEO of AirSign, based in Sarasota, Florida, actually in Williston, Florida, just outside Sarasota. Thank you for all your time. It was great to talk with you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks so much for the call and the ability to have this interview.